Thank you for joining. We have a special Mazévo Connect here today. We've got some partners that I'm going to be introducing to you all here momentarily. But before we do that, just wanted to make a few announcements. First off, Mazévo News. We just got back from a couple of conferences. We don't do a lot of conferences here at Mazévo, but when we do, they always happen in March. So March is a busy month. We're on the road a lot. So I just got back. I was in New York a couple of weeks ago, along with Claire. We were there for ACUI. So if any of you were at the ACUI conference and we saw you, it was great. We love to see people in person. So that was really, really good. And then on the heels of that, about a week later, we had another conference just getting a message here. Dean, are we letting everybody in the meeting here? Keep
Oh,
an eye
I'll
on
keep
that.
an eye on that.
Okay, I forgot to change the setting on that. So thank you for doing that. As I was saying, the other conference I went to was ACID-I. That was in Albuquerque, and saw a lot of people there as well. So it was just great to get out and see people in person. We love Zoom and all. We love connecting with you that way, but really nothing does beat just kind of getting out there and seeing everybody face to face. So that was a lot of fun. It always kind of re-energizes everything when we are seeing people like that. So another little tidbit of news. I saw this in our little product development platform the other day where some of you have asked in the past to see customer access time in the event book. That's on the way. So now, if you don't know what I meant by that, don't worry. It's we'll send out an announcement once it's there, but a few of you have asked for that and seem to be somewhat passionate for that feature. So just saw that they are working on that momentarily. So just kind of whetting your appetite with that little bit of news there. I did want to welcome a couple of new customers that we've had join on board with Mazévo in the last month. First was the University of Illinois. Their housing department has joined on with Mazévo, so we're excited to have them. And we also had another department with the University of Washington join on as well. This is their school or their College of Engineering is now coming on board with Mazévo as well. So we welcome both of them here. I don't know if anybody on the call is with either of those two schools, but it's great to have you. All right, so before I get to today's topic, I want to do a couple of introductions on just who the Mazévo staff is here joining me today. So we're usually joined here every month by other staff members. Today we've got Dean Evans, who's our CEO, joining us. And then I've got Claire DeGroat, who's an account executive with us. She helps me out on the sales team. And then we've got Wendy Newland and Joe Findley. Both of them help our new customers come on board with Mazévo. So if you've come on board with Mazévo recently, you probably worked with one of those two as you were getting up and running. Okay, so today's topic, we're going to be talking about integrations. Integrations is a popular topic for us. It comes up most of the time with most customers in some form or fashion. We get asked about it. It's a very popular thing. So I just wanted to share a few words and kind of set the stage for this talk about integration today. Now, when we talk about integration, usually that goes hand in hand with a subject called the API. Now, if you're already a technical person, you know what an API is. An API is nothing more than a way that you use to connect different software systems together. And Mazévo comes with an API. So if you are a Mazévo customer, you already have the Mazévo API. And that is the bridge, if you will, the thing that we use to link up to other systems that way. So we can put the documentation in the chat here momentarily for the API. The API documentation, it's not going to mean a whole lot to you if you're not a technical person. So don't worry if you get it and it looks like a bunch of gibberish. But if you are technical, that it kind of goes through the kinds of things or the kind of information you can get out of the API that way. So we'll put that in the chat if anybody's curious and wants to see it that way. But a lot of times when we talk about integrations, we often involve our partners with that because our partners bring a certain level of expertise and they also have products that are often used when this topic of integration comes up. So I invited today, we've got four of our partners joining on board, and I'm going to switch my slide up here so you can see who's here with us. But we've got four partners here today that we work with quite often when the topic of integration comes up. So one of our partners is Visix, and they make digital signage solutions. Some of you may already be using their products there. So they're going to talk a little bit about their products and what they do. Then we also have Streamside Solutions. They get called in when the topic of HVAC integration comes up. So if you want to schedule your heating and air conditioning to only come on when you're having events or meetings, things like that, they are the people to talk to. Then we've got 7 Point Solutions. Now they have all kinds of different integration solutions that they bring to the table. Two of the most popular ones that I put up here on the slide are payment integration. So if people want to pay their invoice out of Mazévo with a credit card, they have a solution for that. And they also work a lot with the student centers who want to integrate with their student organizations and bringing in student orgs and officers into Mazévo. They've got something there for that. And then finally, we've got Detrios, and Detrios specializes in access control integrations. They have a product called DAX that does that. So when these topics come up, typically we'll introduce one of our partners there. We do have some customers that will, they have the technical know-how and the knowledge on their end to do their own integration. Our API does allow for that, but when your IT staff is spread too thin or you just don't want to go down that path, these are the folks that we use. We've known all of them for quite some time now. So yeah, I'm grateful to have them here today. So what we're going to do, the way we're going to roll through this today is each of our partners is going to take about 10 minutes and they're going to tell you briefly what they do and kind of how they work with Mazévo. During that process, we definitely encourage this to be interactive. So if you have burning questions for them or for us, you can put that in the Zoom chat and we will be sure to answer them that way. We will also save a few minutes at the end for Q&A. So if you prefer to just ask your question and unmute yourself, you could do that as well. But we'll address all the questions that way. So with that said, I'll go ahead and we'll roll right into it here. I'm going to turn things over to Trey Hicks. Trey is the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Sales Officer of Visix. I've known Trey now for, I think it's probably at least 20 years. Trey and I could tell you about a trip we did back in Chicago a long time ago that it's probably worth saving for another conversation. But yeah, so we go way back to the EMS days. So yeah, Trey, I'll just go ahead and hand it over to you, and you can tell everybody a little bit about Visix. So let me stop sharing here.
Yeah, thank you. I'll share my screen real quick. Let's see. Okay. Brian, you can see my webpage that I'm showing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brian, and everybody at Mazévo. Appreciate the opportunity to join with you guys today and talk about the different solutions that we have for your clients at large. And as Brian said, I've known Brian and Dean for forever. And in fact, it's kind of cool. I've been with Visix, which is a privately owned company based in Atlanta, Georgia. I've actually been with the company for a long time now, for over 20 years. And the very first integration we did with another software platform was with Dean and can't remember if Brian was already with EMS at the time. Maybe so, probably so. But that was our very, very first API integration a million years ago for earlier versions of our digital signage platform. And so we're thrilled to be many years later to be working with you guys on lots of cool applications today. As I mentioned, we're based in Atlanta. We are actually celebrating our 45th year this year, which we're super proud of, that we actually have made it this far without messing things up. And, we're a software company, but given that we exist to help large organizations communicate better, that means we get to play with lots of fun technology, lots of different types of displays and everything, from video walls to interactive wayfinding tools, interactive experiences on your phone, your mobile device. And we bring some unique display technology to the table as well, which I'm going to talk about in my few minutes too. So that's just a little bit about Visix. And again, I'm going to talk through pretty quickly 4 different products that some of you are already using today. Certainly our digital signage platform. We're most known in the higher education space. We have people in manufacturing and corporate environments like Kimberly-Clark and healthcare, even government, using our digital signage platform to communicate better with their audiences every day. But as far as like a, single market where we're most known and we have the most clients, it's actually higher education, which is super fun. And you guys know what digital signage does. You're using our cloud-based platform to share content, meaningful content out to your students, faculty, and staff all over the place, out to the big displays, the small displays, the interactive displays, out to the mobile device, even out to text messaging and that kind of thing with the different platforms that we tie in. So all of that is fun. Now, I'm going to quickly dive into a unique display technology that we bring to market. And in fact, we have the largest installed base of e-ink or e-paper technology in North America in higher education and also in other markets. Um, you know, as far as we know, and it's super fun in that direction because e-paper, it's a great product for sustainability, and it's a great product to put out in your environments. And I'm holding up one of our e-paper signs. We call this the EPS 74, which is a great size for pretty much any space. And what's super unique about this e-paper technology is it's wireless and it runs on batteries now with a new chip that we're using from Texas Instruments for up to 5 years on one set of batteries that you can buy literally at the grocery store. So, it's not pulling power every day. You don't have to run any cables to it. It integrates directly with the Mazévo API. So it's automatically updating and showing the latest schedules no matter where you put this thing. And we've got different sizes as you've kind of seen pop through the pictures that I'm showing on screen right now. In fact, I'll grab the larger one I have right at my desk. They go as large as like a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. We actually have 4 different sizes, and we not only do e-paper outside of shared spaces like meeting rooms, conference rooms, that kind of thing. But what's been really big the last, 2 or 3 years are little e-paper signs at desk. And we are seeing this not only with our corporate clients, but even in higher education as well. You can go right into the Mazévo platform. And of course, you can reserve desks too, if you've got that set up. And we can show those desk bookings and that kind of great information. And of course, at the desk, you don't want more cables or cords. So that's another way that this e-paper technology is just very convenient, especially if you have hundreds of desks that you want to go out to. Now, certainly, as a company who has been providing digital signage and even meeting room sign technology for over 20 years, we have the full color, really cool meeting room signs. They have the LED strips around the sides, they glow green when the room's available, red when it's already booked. We integrate, of course, with the API for all of that to show your schedules, throughout the day. And in fact, I'm going to grab, that's kind of part of the reason I'm at my standing desk today. So here is a larger meeting room sign that kind of borrowed or stole from one of our campus customers right up the road, Kennesaw State University. And this is interactive. And so what it's going to show us now, I'm just going to refer to it real quick because I know that's hard to see on camera. But this one display not only shows the event schedule for the day, but it's showing their sustainability efforts around campus, you know? So really fun stuff. And that's just a quick example of the full color, interactive, full video kind of display technology that our software works with and integrates, with these guys with Mazévo. So let's see. Also wanted to share with you that another thing that we get into to help you guys share schedule and event information, and really important, help people find their way throughout the day. We build custom interactive experiences for whatever your campus is. And I just popped one up, happened to pick, let's see, I think this is Salt Lake Community College. And so we're checking out their campus here, and we can dive into one of their buildings on campus and very quickly see the schedule for the day. So if I'm looking for this physics class at 10 a.m. over here, kind of on the left, I can just click map it, and it's going to show me, it's going to draw a little cool little line showing me how to go right from the touch screen that I'm standing out right to the room. I don't know about you guys, but I still have those nightmares about, it's the first day of the new semester, and I don't know how to get to that first class, and I'm lost, right? And you're going to be late. It's going to be terrible. Wow. Well, we have this now, wayfinding, and this not only runs on your digital signs, your TVs around campus, but it actually works on your phone too. And what's kind of fun about this project we did, which I'm not going to do it right now live with all you guys, but this is voice enabled. So you walk up to the kiosk, you say the name of the school mascot, and then it asks you what you're looking for, and you just say, "Hi, I'm looking for the Starbucks cafe," or "I'm looking for, room 101," and it'll draw and show you how to get there, and then you can take that wayfinding content away on your phone as well. But yeah, so to kind of summarize, so we are Visix, as I mentioned, based in Atlanta, Georgia. We've got a national sales team spread out around the country that covers North America. We have thousands of deployments in place in the US, which we feel very fortunate about. And we would love to help with any needs you have in the direction of, kind of campus-wide kind of stuff like digital signage or wayfinding, or very specific needs like, hey, we need to show the schedule outside of these shared spaces. Um, that's what we do. So, Brian, I appreciate the time, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Trey. That was great. Love those e-paper signs. I think that's just truly a game changer, especially if you have an older facility and you're like, I don't want to run all the wires and cables and all that stuff.
Yep.
Really cool. So, all right. Well, thank you for that. So our next presenter here, we'll just move right along, is going to be Dwight Stewart. He is the CEO of Streamside Solutions. Streamside is another company that's also based here in Colorado, where we are, up in beautiful Estes Park. Although Dwight today is coming to you from Iowa, I'll let him tell you about that. So anyways, I'd like to introduce Dwight Stewart.
Thank you, Brian, and really appreciate this opportunity. So thank you, Brian and Dean and Mazévo Group. Yep, so I'm out here in Iowa. So if you ever get the chance to swing through the cornfields here, give me a call. But our headquarters is in Estes Park, so I like visiting back there anytime I can. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Brian, can you see this okay?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So really, our purpose in life is to automate what can be automated so that you're not having to really sit around and do minutia. And along those lines, is we've really focused on HVAC because it's the largest energy user within buildings. So if you can automate and not use HVAC when you don't need to, then you're going to be able to save a lot of money and resources, and because you're not using the energy to serve those rooms. Or you're going to, right now with K through 12, a lot of cases we see is that there's a lot of manual scheduling going on for after hours events. So either you're going to save that money or you're going to save that time. But I liken it to, kind of if you're doing it manually, it's kind of like hand washing your clothes, and we're trying to move people to the wash machine, and once you are on the wash machine, you pretty much never go back. So with the thing that makes HVAC a little more complicated is, unlike lighting, where you walk into a room and the lights can just turn on because of a motion sensor, it's something that you really need to start much earlier. It takes maybe 20 minutes. It can take hours to get an auditorium or a classroom or gymnasium up to the temperature that you'd want it to be at. So what we do is we can link in with the existing schedules from Mazévo. And the beauty of it is, since your data is there, it makes your operations predictable. And because of that data being there, it's a huge resource to be able to use for all sorts of other things than you would just get out of the Mazévo system alone. But by us being able to link into that data, now you're going to be able to use that to automate your life. And you're going to be able to eliminate a lot of time that you were otherwise doing manually. So pull that data, use that to know predictably when you're going to be using those rooms, go through some algorithms, such as I mentioned before. You want to turn on those HVAC systems before you really need them, so that by the time people get to the rooms, it's nice and comfortable. And then you can set those HVAC, and we link into other systems as well. So by having that automation, you can simplify your life, which I'll go into some case studies, but it can be pretty dramatic as to how much money and time savings. And this kind of goes into a high level here. When it comes to energy, it can be usually around 50 cents per square foot. That's highly subject to your energy rates. I saw someone on the a list here of participants say that they were from Hawaii. Hawaii is obviously a very high energy rate, so it's probably much higher than even 50 cents a square foot. And then if we look at manual scheduling, you're looking at saving very substantial amounts of hours. It really comes down to about, I'll go into a case study, but it's around 50 minutes per school that we see per week that's spent just doing manual scheduling. There's lots of different ways to do this, but once again, if you want your space to be nice and comfortable by the time you get there, and if you want to do it in the most efficient way and optimized and automated way, then that's where we come in. And we can remotely set up our software, remotely configure it, remotely manage it. So our costs are kept extremely low, and you can get a payback usually within just a couple months. We have a lot of different customers. We're actually at around 60 now for universities and colleges. We serve a lot of K through 12 school districts, so even large ones such as Denver Public Schools, as well as even churches. So we go and really scale well across a very small to a very large to one building to many buildings. If we look at just Minnesota State University, they save $1 million a year by automating. They were using fixed weekly schedules. So from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., they were just keeping their systems on occupied mode. So huge savings opportunity there. North Carolina, Chapel Hill, they save an average of $1,200, and you're looking at classrooms and lecture halls in that situation. Western Carolina, they had a situation where they were looking at various ways of improving their facilities, one of them being put in solar panel arrays. When you look at that, it would have cost them 10 times as much for the same amount of kilowatts that they would have generated. We save that same amount of kilowatts at a tenth of the cost. And for K through 12 schools, if you look at this particular one, it's kind of glaring. They had 24 schools. they saved 20 hours a week that they were doing manual scheduling of the HVAC system. And so it comes about to 50 minutes per week per school. And then if you extrapolate that across, let's say 30 or so weeks, you're talking, for a school year, then you're looking at a very substantial amount of savings per school. And, in our situation, our pricing is such that it might cost per year about $300 per elementary school with our software. So it can be a dramatic difference in cost and savings there. With a church, this is an example of a church that was spending $40,000 in energy, and now they cut that in half just by implementing this software. So the way that this works, if you look at each one of these rows being a room, and it's in unoccupied mode in yellow, and then in blue, it goes to occupied mode, and this is over time. This was a snapshot of a site that was in transition, so we were starting to install Avesta HVAC. You can see some of them are still on fixed weekly schedules, so many rooms are still from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. They're just in occupied mode. Then you have others that now it waits until 10 a.m., for instance, and then goes to occupied mode, then finally releases to unoccupied mode. So there's a lot more yellow there. And yellow means savings. Yellow means that you're at a more wide set point range. It's more loose, so the system doesn't have to work as hard. It can be relaxed. So you're going to use a lot less energy. So we integrate to many different systems. We are agnostic. If you have another system and you're moving to Mazévo, we can help you with that. But it's a system that we also integrate to many different control systems as well. So that way you can have many different inputs coming into your automations and make sure that you're getting whatever results you want. A lot of universities, a lot of K through 12s in particular, are a hodgepodge of systems that are over many generations of technology. So by being able to integrate to so many systems simultaneously, it allows you that flexibility to and not have to really bend your hardware and bend your technology towards us, but we can facilitate your situation. And as I mentioned, we try to make this as easy as possible, leave the training wheels on and do this for you the whole way through, where we offer as managed service, and we can do everything remotely. So we keep that cost down and don't have to do a truck roll, those kind of things. So we can do all these things for you, but we also allow an option where we can train you and you can be very hands-on or something in between, but try to work with whatever level of engagement you want. That's it. Appreciate, once again, the opportunity to speak to everyone here.
Yeah. Thanks, Dwight. Those numbers were definitely impressive there on those case studies that you have. Some great stuff. All right. Our next presenter here is going to be Ed Novak. He's one of the principals of 7-Point Solutions. Ed and I also go way back. We worked together for many years over at EMS, so we know each other quite well. Ed is also based out of Colorado. We kind of are Colorado slanted today, I think, a little bit. But anyways, I'll let him go ahead and tell you a little bit about what 7-Point does.
Thanks, Brian. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, can you see it?
Coming up right now. It's still loading up on mine. There we go. Got it.
Right. Hi, everyone. As Brian mentioned, I'm Ed Novak. I'm a partner at 7-Point Solutions, and all of us go way back. We started 7-Point back in 2014 to fill a gap in the event management space. At the time, there really weren't a lot of trusted integrators around that provided custom solutions to help organizations tie their systems together. We've been in business for a long time, and I'd be comfortable saying that I think we've seen it all. the bottom line is you've made an investment in Mazévo, and our goal is to help you maximize, that investment. And we can do that in a couple of ways. So we have subscription-based add-ons and also do custom development. And I'd like to highlight three of our add-ons. Our payment page is a PCI compliant web page that allows your customers to pay their Mazévo invoices or make deposits online with a credit card. I'm actually going to show you that here in a minute. Our student organization connector integrates Mazévo with a student organization management system like Anthology Engage or Campus Groups. The connector is a service that syncs your student organizations and authorized members in those systems with Mazévo student organizations and contact records. So new student organizations and authorized members are automatically added to Mazévo. Changes to those records are automatically changed in Mazévo, and inactivated student organizations and members are automatically inactivated in Mazévo. So it really syncs up on all levels. And this eliminates a lot of manual processing that occurs during student organization registration periods, where you're manually having to maintain everything. So it is a nice little connector to help with that. And then we also have a Microsoft 365 connector that integrates Mazévo with room resources in Exchange. So this connector is also a service. It grabs events in specific rooms in Mazévo and creates appointments for those events and corresponding room mailboxes in Exchange. The integration also automatically manages changes and cancellations to those events. It is a one-way integration, so information flows from Mazévo to Exchange, but not from Exchange to Mazévo. So why would you want to do this? One reason is that there are some digital signage providers that may not integrate with Mazévo, but can pull event information for specific rooms from Exchange. So if you have one of those devices or systems, this could address that. Another reason is that you may have a set of rooms that you want internal staff to see in Outlook when making appointments. Those rooms would be set up in Exchange as read-only, so no one can actually request them through Outlook. But it does give everybody visibility, maybe using a familiar interface. And then finally, on the custom development side, we do it all, as Brian has mentioned. There's really not an integration we've come across that we don't like. Integration can be a dirty business, but we like it. It's fun. We've probably done 100 of these. Sometimes I like to refer to us as there has to be a better way, guys. So if you have a use case that's pretty specific to your organization that's driving you nuts, we'd be happy to explore potential solutions with you. So just keep us in mind. All right, so let me go ahead and show you our payment page. All right. So it all starts with an event in Mazévo with charges. So you could see I have one of those here. I did generate an invoice for this event. And this is a sandbox. Again, I'll say this a couple of times, but it's pretty ugly and plain. Not the invoice, but our customization of the invoice is pretty basic here. So I have an invoice with some charges. And then what you will do is you'll put a message on that invoice or a confirmation, but whatever language you want on there. But the bottom line is you'll say something like, click here to pay your invoice online with a credit card. And when they click that, what happens is that'll take them to our payment page. This is hosted by us. And again, this is very vanilla. You can customize this with your logo, your banner, any type of messaging that you want to provide. But once they're on this page, they have an option to pay an invoice, or make a deposit for a future event. So that's available if enabled. You'll have your customer input their invoice number and their name, and then hit search. And then what'll happen is we'll go look in Mazévo to see if that invoice exists. And if it does, we'll pull that information back with the balance due. So then at this point, if everything looks okay, the customer will hit complete payment. I want to pause here a little bit. Even though it looks like we do, we don't actually transmit, process, or store credit card data. We rely on third-party payment gateways like Authorize.net or TouchNet or Transact, to name a few, to do all of the heavy lifting. So you have a merchant relationship with one of those payment gateways, not with us. Um, our approach minimizes our PCI scope significantly because we aren't doing that heavy lifting, but not completely because we can impact the security of the transaction. So that's why we still have to be PCI compliant. But once they're on this page, go ahead and add a trusted credit card number here. I've tried to use this on Amazon. It doesn't work. So save yourself some time. All right, so once I've completed, inputted all the information, hit pay. And again, this is being processed by that payment gateway. They will land on a receipt page, again, customizable, your logo, your banner, any help messaging you want here, any thank yous. And then they also receive an email from the payment gateway confirming that transaction. And then as far as tracking that, so we do have a transactions area in our portal. So that transaction will be written here along with a transaction ID that you can use to cross-reference that with your payment gateway. But the flashier place that we make an update is if you go back to Mazévo, you can see, I have this invoice record here. I have a balance due of $900. If I refresh this page, I can see that that balance due is now zero. So we go ahead and post that transaction to Mazévo, really completing the circle, from an aging standpoint. And that's the record that we added. All right, so that's our payment page in a nutshell. Um, contact information. Again, we love having conversations. They're free, they're fun. So if you have a use case you want to kick around, please give us a call. I'd love to. Or if you'd like to see one of these solutions in more detail, just let me know. And that is it. I'll turn it back over to you, Brian.
All right. Thanks, Ed. Um, there was one question that rolled in here from Jessica. She was curious about cash or check. How's that work with this solution? You want to say anything towards that there, Ed?
So as far as cash or check, are you saying collecting that or processing it through the payment gateway? I know some payment gateways have an e-check option, or is it just the old-fashioned check and cash?
Yeah. She didn't really specify here, so but yeah, I don't know. Tell us a little bit about the check method that you've seen before with that.
So some gateways do allow an e-check option. So if that's something that you'd like to offer to your customers, that's something that can be enabled.
Okay. Yeah, she's saying they pay through the office normally. So yeah, Jessica, in that case, if they're normally paying through the office or they, just hand you cash or something like that, you would just log that payment in Mazévo. Mazévo has a way for you to just go in and enter that the invoice was paid or how much they gave you, things like that. So you would just do it that way as opposed to using the method that Ed showed you there. So, all right. Well, Ed, thank you for that. That was a great presentation there. So we've got one more here, and I'm going to introduce now Amanda Imperial from Detrios. She is the team lead for integrations for Detrios, and so she's going to tell you a little bit about what they do there. Amanda?
Thank you, Brian.
Mhm.
Go ahead and get my screen shared. Alrighty, hopefully everyone can see that. So, thank you so much for the intro. So, I'm with Detrios. We create integrations for access control systems, and I'm going to talk today about a product that we offer in higher education for integrating event schedules. So, oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Just a little bit about us. So, we are a company. We've been around for a long time. Justin and Jason, co-founders for Detrios, 2 decades plus worth of access control experience, and that spans our entire team as well. We've created thousands of custom integrations in all types of industries. So, higher education, obviously, hospitals, airports, government facilities, things like that. And across our 50 plus higher education customers, we have about 40 of them using DAX, and a handful of other ones are using combinations of other custom integrations that we've created for them. So we integrate with tons and tons of systems. It's driven completely on customer need. So if there is a problem that a customer is having, we have a conversation with them about it. And if it's a system we don't integrate with yet, then by the end of that conversation, we probably will. So obviously you can see on screen, we've got tons of event management systems, system and information systems, housing management systems, and obviously our bread and butter, which is access control systems. So if you don't see a system up here that you use today, all it takes is a conversation. So the challenge for the product that I'm talking about today, which is DAX, is Justin and Jason's time and access control and speaking to higher education customers identified a common pattern in higher education, which was that there wasn't a good way to dynamically control or help bridge the gap between event management systems and access control. So you've got event management teams, you've got security teams, many different types of teams in a higher education space that are trying to communicate. And the way that we see them trying to bridge that gap usually comes in the form of lots and lots and lots of reports. So weekly, daily reports to the security team for the classes that are happening today or this week. Any special events that are happening, things that are happening over the weekend, means that they have to be very prepared ahead of time. And it usually doesn't account for last minute events or cancellations. Or usually that means that there's a phone call going to the security team, say on a Saturday, saying, hey, this building isn't locked, or hey, nobody showed up. We need that building to be relocked. So, not a lot of dynamicism in trying to manage that challenge. And so what that typically leads to for schools is setting up schedules in their access control system, which again are not very dynamic, and don't allow for changes, last minute cancellations, things like that. And then another problem with that is, if you're leaving your buildings open for students, Monday through Friday open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., there's not a lot of visibility or security in that solution. So you've got vandalism problems, you've got people from the public on, say, an urban campus that are coming in and, sitting in lab rooms, or any number of security concerns that aren't being addressed because the amount of manual effort that it takes to manage that problem is too great for schools to handle. So that's where DAX comes in. So DAX is a middleware solution that we created. It's an on-premise solution. It has an IIS hosted website, and it is a Windows service that runs in the background. And it is meant to bridge that gap and help automate the event schedules into the access control system in a way that works for your campus. So a very quick brief on how DAX works. So we take your event schedules in Mazévo. We say you've got a class, Econ 402, takes place in Smith Hall 101 from 7 to 9:30 p.m. at night. And in DAX, we have it configured such that for every event type of an academic class, in this case, Econ 402, we want those doors to unlock 15 minutes before that class starts and relock 5 minutes after. So that allows, a teacher to get in, students that show up early to get into class ahead of time. And so what that leads to is opening that door 6:45 and relocking it at 9:35. So I'm going to jump to our demo system here. And so what I've got pulled up is our DAX website. Good, it didn't kick me out. what this is basically our advanced configuration tool. So this is where you would go to tell DAX how to operate with those event schedules. Um, so a couple of things I'm going to show you. I could, I think, give this demo for about half an hour, but I'm going to run through some of the sort of important pieces here. So if I go in here, I want to see the reservations that are coming up. I have this set up so that the DAX website will show me 7 days worth of data that's coming in. And so I actually pulled up my Mazévo event list so you can see similarly what I've got going on in the next week or so. But what the reservations that you're seeing on this page are coming straight through the Mazévo API. We query Mazévo, we say, give me the reservations upcoming for the next 7 days. And so I'll talk about some of the mappings and configuration for what you can see in here. But you can see the reservation from Mazévo. We have our important information. We have contacts that are associated with it. And then I'll jump into reader mappings. And this is how it tells us which doors are going to unlock in near real time. So to be clear, DAX is not setting up schedules in your access control system. It is near real time unlocking and locking doors. And so I'll jump to our reader mappings. So the way that DAX handles those reservations, it's not pulling in absolutely every reservation unless you want it to. It pulls in the reservations that you tell it are important. And that's based on three pieces of information. So reader mappings is number one. So I have this set up so that when reservations come in to room Detrios 101, I need DAX to unlock a few different doors. And so we understand that in a student's journey to a classroom, there could be several doors on the way, a couple exterior doors, and then, the classroom itself. So we have it set up so that when you go in to create a mapping, all of these rooms are cached from Mazévo. The readers are cached from the access control system. So I've got this set up with Linellus 2 OnGuard. And again, these are all readers. They're all cached from the system. I didn't go in here and manually put anything in. But when I'm mapping a reader, I would go into here and say for Detrios 101, these are all of the readers that I need unlocked. And so that's one piece of information. The sort of crux is the event type configuration. So DAX operates based on these event profiles. So again, anything that you don't want DAX to handle, you just would not map in here. But I have academic classes set up in here in Mazévo, or talking to Mazévo, to control doors. I have it set to a 5-minute pre and a 5-minute post. So similar to the presentation, I'm saying I want that door unlocked 5 minutes ahead of the reservation time and set back to default mode, which default we find is very common for universities to use. It puts the control in the security team. If they want it default to set it a certain way, card and pin, card only, it kind of puts that control right in their hands. But you can set it to something specifically if you want to, per event profile. And then the last piece is going to be our reservation status. So what I'm telling DAX in here is these are statuses that come from Mazévo directly. Again, it's all cached, nothing manual. And we're saying that for every confirmed event, I want DAX to take control of that reservation. And it just means that we're saying that DAX should unlock and lock doors for confirmed events. This allows people to use, if you're using like an approval workflow, and, again, you don't want DAX to necessarily say we're unlocking the door if the event hasn't been approved. So this is saying only when it's confirmed am I going to unlock that door. And then one other feature I want to touch on that we get a lot of questions about is the temporary override schedule. So we know we're talking about last minute cancellations or last minute sort of events, things like that. What we find is very helpful for schools is having a way to tell DAX, I need you to go hands off for a period of time. So the temporary override schedule, which apparently it looks like my server is having a problem, you can go in here and say, maybe you've got a weather event. We found this feature was being used, unfortunately, during hurricane season a few months ago. So if you don't necessarily have the time to go into your reservation system, into Mazévo, and sort of cancel every event for a day suddenly, or maybe it's just for one room. The temporary override schedule for DAX allows you to tell DAX, hey, for a period of time, I need you to go hands off. You see reservations come in, I don't want you to be unlocking and locking doors for that period of time. And I'm going to jump back to my presentation. That's my quick demo there. So just to sort of wrap up and bring it back in here, I know I'm just about at time. So integrating Mazévo with DAX means allowing your event management teams to focus on what they do best, not having to report to security all the time, or at least not to get doors unlocked and locked as needed. Um, but saving you time, saving you resources, putting control into your security team and your event management team to do exactly what they need to do. No running reports all the time, increasing security for your campus. And one of the things I didn't mention is that we are manufacturer supported. So DAX is a certified product with many access control manufacturers. And the benefit of that is that whenever there are upgrades, things like that, we work with you to help make sure that you're well supported. So I'm going to skip. I have a little question slide, but I'm going to skip over it to do just a quick shout out because we're going to be at a lot of conferences coming up. And I know there's a lot of text here, so if you're interested, I recommend screenshotting this. But we'll be at ISC West, we'll be at NACU, we'll be at HELUG if anyone is attending that. We're actually giving a talk at NACU with Auburn University, who is a Mazévo customer as well. And then finally, we have our own Detrios forum in the summertime here in New York. Thank you, Brian.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Amanda. That was great presentation. It was great to hear how flexible you all are with the different scenarios, things that I don't even think of, right? It's like when I hear about it, it's just like, oh yeah, it locks and unlocks the doors, but you have to be ready to deal with all kinds of, different situations that may or may not come up. So it's great to see that. So at this point, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but feel free if you want to unmute yourself, you can ask anybody a question if there's a burning question that you have that hasn't been addressed yet, or you can put it in the chat. We do still have a few minutes here. Also, I wanted to mention one important integration that I didn't really talk about today, but I know several of you on this call rely on it heavily, and that's the integration with the student information systems. If you're on the academic side of the operation, or you are working with academics or in classrooms, that's an important integration. We have a way in Mazévo to pull course data into Mazévo so you know when all those classes are meeting. I intentionally left that one out because it is rather a big subject. Those of you, if anybody is on this call in the registrar's office, we do have a partner that specializes in integrating with student information systems, and they provide a full two-way integration between Mazévo and your SIS. So it's a great one if your registrar is interested in like classroom optimization, things like that. We are going to do a Mazévo Connect topic at some point on the future just on that, but I just wanted to plug that. So let's see. I do see a question here from Tyler. Let's see. It's asking about a kiosk display. Sounds like they used to use an EMS where events kind of show up throughout the day. I'm kind of picturing, Tyler, something like I walk into your lobby and I see here's all the stuff that's going on in your facility today and what you have happening there. Mazévo doesn't really have anything like that built into the system, but I don't know if any of our partners want to take a crack at that. I think a couple of you
Sure.
probably could speak to that a little bit. So,
Yeah. That's a very common thing that we do is showing that schedule on different displays or kiosks. So yeah, we could pretty easily help with that using the API integration.
okay, great. Good stuff.
And
Right.
this is Trey at Visix.
Okay. Thanks, Trey. And then a question for Dax here. I don't know if you see that one, Amanda. Way to temporarily lock a room with Dax if a group's in the room, say, needs to leave for lunch or something like that. Can you temporarily relock it?
Sure, yeah. I would say if it's meant to be unlocked again, then sort of changing the status is a good way to do it. You can have someone with your security team say lock it temporarily. I think there's all types of ways that we could do it, but certainly with Dex, anything you're doing in Mazévo is going to propagate to Dex, so that would be, I think, my way. Or you could do a temporary override schedule, which will also lock it for a period of time and then reopen it once that schedule is completed.
Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions rolling in here. I would like to thank all of you for joining today, and especially our partners for presenting today on their great offerings here. If anybody has any further questions, I will be sending out the link to this recording early next week so that you have that. And included with that will be links to all of our partners' information. So you can definitely follow up with anybody that way. And that's a great way to do it. We will be doing this again next month. Our topic, I don't have a title for it yet, but it's something around the idea of how to do more with less in Mazévo. So if your organization's, dealing with a hiring freeze or something like that, and you're like, what am I going to do? We're going to have some strategies and some tips for you on that. But again, thank you everyone for joining here today, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody next month. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.